You guys seem to really like iPad content, specifically on iPadOS. That's probably an understatement. And the level of viewership I'm getting on my iPad Pro 11 video is proving that. Thank you so much for all of the views and the likes and the subscriptions and the comments and the questions. I'll be doing a Q&A video soon on the iPad Pro. Leave a like and a comment if you think I should do that. And again, any interaction that I have with my channel really helps the algorithm pick it up, as seen with that other video. So thank you so much. But to kind of take a step back for a minute, kind of ignoring the newer devices, some people were asking me, hey Noah, are you going to install iPadOS on your iPad Air 2? And I haven't touched mine for like 2 months. This is my school device. I used it throughout high school with iOS 8, iOS 9, iOS 10, iOS 11, and 12. But I have not experienced iPadOS in here yet because I wanted to share that experience with you guys to kind of go through things here and open apps and multitasking, just do everyday things, some intensive, some not intensive, and just see if this is still a viable device as of this year with this software update. So today we're going to determine two things. One, we're going to see if it's worth it to upgrade to the beta and the final release in the fall, because some people are afraid when they upgrade their older devices they're going to lose performance, so we'll see about that. And secondly, we're going to see if this is a decent work device all these years later and at its price point with iPadOS, doing some word processing and creative work. We're going to see how that goes too. So without further ado, let's get into testing. So I just installed iPadOS on my iPad Air 2. I haven't even touched this device for like 2 months. This is my school iPad. So I did use this every day with iOS 10, iOS 11, and iOS 12. So I'm here to kind of go through or walk through what iPadOS or iOS 13 is like on here. I have not experienced it. I'm going to experience it with you guys. So let's kind of do a walkthrough and see how things are running on this nearly 5-year-old device now. So let's do a quick camera, toggle here. That was pretty quick. I'm actually very surprised how that worked out. You can scroll through notifications. That's pretty smooth. The control center, smooth again. It's a little bit stuttery. I'm coming from an iPad Pro 11, so everything's gonna look a little more stuttery with a 60 hertz panel. But yeah, so far so good. Let's unlock here with Touch ID. That was a smooth unlock. iOS 13 or iPadOS is boasting increased performance for older devices, so that's cool. They're changing the ways storage works and whatever. And there's just general optimizations around as well. So let's launch the app switcher. That was pretty quick. Let's quit some apps here. Or actually, yeah, I'm gonna quit some apps so we can see what app launch times are like. So closing apps seems to be just as smooth as it was on iOS 12. No biggie there. So if you're worried about installing this on your iPad, we're gonna see, how smooth it is. So far, like I said, so good. Let's launch Safari. And there's probably gonna be a web page. Okay, so no web page. So that launched fairly quickly. Let's load apple.com. Pretty standard test here. My Wi-Fi is pretty decent, so that wasn't a bad loading time. Scrolling is nice. I'm not seeing any hiccups or lag here. Let's open up a link, macOS Catalina. See the preview. And that's totally okay. The animations look pretty decent. Nothing is lagging on the web. Safari is doing a great job. And speaking of Safari, you can have 2 instances of it open now, just like any other app, but Apple did mention this. So you can have 2 web pages open. Let's load Social Blade here. This is my stats. I'm always checking them. So yeah, this is just fine on this device. 9.7 inches is definitely enough to work with still in 2019. A very smooth and enjoyable experience. And now that we're doing the multitasking, I might as well see how the little carousel thing works. Let's open files here. So now you might understand what I mean once I open up 2 apps here. Give me a sec. Let's do Notability and see if this works. Alright, let's open 3 apps. Why not? So that's opening up. That wasn't a horrible loading time. So next. Done. I'm going to put messages over here. So now we have the carousel view, which is very smooth, actually, a lot smoother than I thought. And I love this feature. You could be like doing work or, reading the web or something on the web and then just swipe over and then respond. This is a little bit different though. On other devices like my iPad Pro, I can still interact with apps, but with this, you have to just, do what you're doing here and then go back to your work. So that's a little bit different, but for an older device, I'm not complaining too much. That's actually great that they have this feature here. So I could respond to my buddy Isaac over here. Canoopsy, you might know him. Really great guy. Then we can switch over to Notability and see what I can bring up here. Unit 4 study guide. This was a school assignment. This is when you get really bored when you're a senior and you just can't take school anymore. But yeah, that's the school assignment here. Let's go back to what we're doing here. And yeah, Multitasking so far has been a really smooth ride. I'm very surprised here with this device and its age. And as you know, we have dark mode with iPadOS, so it translates really nicely across the operating system. iMessages looks great. Everything has this nice dark theme, and it looks great even on this display, which isn't, you know, OLED or like the high contrast LCD found in the newer iPad Pros. I'm very satisfied with what I'm seeing so far. Let's go to settings. Yep, it's all great. And there was a little bit of lag there, but you know what? That's to be expected with a device that is, you know, that is this age. And I gotta say, the Air 2's processor, the A8X, is still doing a fantastic job all these years later. I'm actually pretty impressed. You also have this side view thing, you know, whatever this is called, whatever Apple called it, but I just call it the widget, and it looks really nice. Oh, I opened Google Docs. Let's open Google Docs. Why not? And that loading time was not terrible. Let's go into a script that I was writing, or an outline rather. So this is my creative setup tour. And yeah, if you're doing word processing, I mean, if you have like an external keyboard or whatever, this is a really nice experience. Let's just pretend like I have more to add here. I'm going to edit this document. The keyboard is fine and dandy. Why did I say fine? Who says fine and dandy? So I'll just be like, I am pretending. I can't type. Pretending to type on my Google Doc. I know that's a horrible thing, but the keyboard experience is, you know, just fine. You can do this little like scrolly thing. Okay, this is a little bit laggy, but that might be a iOS or an iPadOS glitch. They're the beta. This is a beta, so you have to expect there to be some bugs, but that should be fixed up by the time this is at its final release. Well, actually, it works kind of decently, but yeah, it's all right. That works pretty well. The keyboard seems to not lag too much. Let's go back home here. Let's see if I have any games on here. Let's open up Minecraft. Oh boy. So it wasn't like the quickest loading time, but it certainly wasn't bad by any means. Let's go to my creative world or whatever. I haven't been here for a while. Hello. Okay, so it's loading. If you've been waiting for falling in love. Okay, well, that was kind of fast. And I'm not seeing any major lag yet. Let's fly around for a minute. Yeah, that's not bad at all. If you're into gaming, this is a 3D title. You know, it runs poorly on, you know, not as well optimized devices like older devices, but this is running fairly decently, actually. I'm surprised. Let's kind of fly over here. We're loading chunks pretty decently there. Let's land in this field over here. I don't know why the brightness is so moody, but here's some cows, you know. What's up, cows? Yeah, that's, wow. You know, after not using this device, you know, really for like 2 months, and really the entire school year because I had it all locked down, you know, I couldn't really have any other apps or not approved apps, but coming back to this device, it's a powerhouse even to this day. I'm actually really surprised. I know I keep saying that, but I mean it. You know, I'm experiencing this with you. I did not expect this level of performance all these years later. I keep saying that too, but damn, I'm actually impressed. Let's go into YouTube Studio. It's one app that I use a lot to check up on the channel. Let's check out my desk setup video. Things are loading quite nicely. No lag, nothing too bad. Check a notification here. Everything seems to be running pretty smoothly. A little bit of lag with scrolling, but nothing horrible. Let's go home again. Let's open Lightroom here. Say you do photography and you airdrop a photo to your iPad or somehow get external. I think external storage might work with the iPad Air 2 if you have like Lightning to USB, but we'll see here. Let's sign into my Adobe account here. So we got Lightroom loaded up here. It's going into my actual camera roll, but we're gonna play around with the photo that I took of the iPad Pro here. And although we don't have a pencil to interact with, it's still a decent experience. I know I'm just totally blowing out this image, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what photo editing would be like on here. Not a bad experience at all. You can scroll or zoom in smoothly. The interactions or the toggles here don't lag really. It is pretty much adjusted in real time. Yeah, it works for photo editing, guys. It's not the most color accurate or beautiful display out there right now, but it will definitely work if you're photo editing on a budget and say you take photos on your phone or a camera and you can somehow get them onto your device, whether by means of the external storage capability with iPadOS or just airdropping it or sending it via email, whatever. You can actually do some work on here, and that's not bad at all, actually. I'm actually impressed. And I don't keep saying stuff like that to oversell or overhype this product. Once again, I'm experiencing things here with you guys firsthand, second by second. And I have the best of the best. I have the iPad Pro 11. It has an A12X. It's a monster. It has a 120 hertz display. It's perfect for, like, you know, some creative work and just work in general. But this device, you know, it being almost 5 years old and having, you know, a couple generations older of a processor and only 2 or 3 gigabytes of RAM, it's just blowing my mind here what it's capable of all these years later. I know I keep saying that, but I definitely mean it. Let's go home here. Let's do an important little stress or lag test here. Spotlight search. That didn't lag too much, or if at all, actually. Let's see it again. That works just fine. It's not the smoothest, you know, experience ever, but animations so far appear to just kind of happen 80% of what the best can do on a 60 hertz display. It's a little bit choppy here and there, but totally usable, and it's not going to make you angry where you're like, oh, it's lagging. Like, it's not like a really horrible lag. And keep in mind, again, I'm adjusting to a 60 hertz display here. I'm used to using a 120 hertz, like I said. This is like half of the refresh rate I'm used to, so this is actually not bad considering that. Let's open up YouTube here. People use YouTube on iPad all the time. I love watching YouTube videos on my iPad or an iPad, and things seem to load up pretty quick here. Let's watch this video on the 3900X. If you're into PC hardware, this is a big deal. Speakers, you know, not bad, even though they're not stereo.
After all these years, desktop
Bitwit Kyle.
instructions for use. Those companies are in.
No different from iOS 12 or iOS 11. It's still a great experience. Let's scroll through some comments here. Pretty smooth, you know. It's loading things live. Let's close this up here. Yeah, YouTube seems to be just as fast as it was on iOS 11 and 12 in my experience here. Still a very enjoyable media consumption device. Let's open the news app. I don't really use the news app. I just usually look up my news on Safari, but people sometimes use this, so let's open it up here. Continue. And here we go. It seems well optimized. Dark mode, everything. Let's go to this story, I think, on the earthquake that happened in somewhere. Nope, just kidding. Not at all. So here's a news story. It's loading from USA Today. That's not terrible. Let's go to Apple News Spotlight here. My kind of news. 2 days, 2 major earthquakes. Yeah, there we go. Let's look at this right here. So yeah, the news app seems to be working quite well. Let's load the App Store. The App Store seems to struggle on older devices. So if it loads up pretty quick here, yep, and here we go. It's all loaded up. Wow. Sometimes it takes like a minute on older devices, like 30 seconds. That took about 5 or 6, I think. Not bad at all. That is an indication that this device is not on its way out, at least right now. Yeah, really great. Yeah, there's some lag. You see, there's a little bit of lag, but it's not going to really bother you too much if this is your only device and you're not used to, you know, the fastest and the quickest. You know, I have a interesting perspective because I am exposed to the best of the best because I spend my money and invest in that. But for the everyday consumer, this is not terrible at all. At all. Scrolling is just fine. Let's go into Google Drive. Google Drive is a work app. Everybody uses this. I use it for school. Seems to be loading up quite well here. Let's open up a picture. That was quick, you know, nothing choppy, nothing lagging behind. Things are loading pretty quickly. I have decent Wi-Fi, but most people do anyway. So yeah, Google Drive works just fine. Let's open up Spotify. You can control Spotify music with your iPad, listen to it on here, whatever. Not the best loading time, but I mean, like, it still loads up and the UI is not horrible. Maybe they have to optimize this app a little bit more for iPadOS. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be slower, but it loaded up, not in too bad of timing. Joji is amazing. If you don't listen to him, you need to, by the way. Joji was formerly Filthy Frank, if you know who he is, but his music is just incredible, so I really do recommend it. My musical choice is super interesting. We have Joji, Lady Gaga, Drake. Daft Punk and Tiny Meat Gang, Cody Ko and Noel Miller are the real deal. Let's go home here. Oh, by the way, yeah, Childish Gambino, Young Gravy too. Love them. Do some multitasking. Let's go back into an app here. Let's go back into the messaging app. It had to reload, but it was back up and at 'em real quick here, so that's not terrible. Let's go back into the switcher here. Let's go back to the App Store. That seemed to not have to reload. Let's go back to Drive. We were just in Drive. That's loaded up. Let's go back into YouTube. It had to refresh, so not horrible. But obviously this is not going to perform as well as like the newer iPads with more RAM in them. Let's go back to the News app. Still loaded up because we were using that. So yeah, the last 3 apps you were using seem to load up just fine. Let's go back to Spotify. Let's go to YouTube Studio. Had to reload. See, seems to be the most recent 2 or 3 apps to load up, but the reload is not terrible at all. Actually, let's go to Docs, see reload again. So for multitasking, this device isn't like a beast or anything, at least not anymore, but I mean, it's not bad. And the most recent 2 or 3 apps, like I have said, seem to open just fine. And then if you got to reload an app, it doesn't take too long to reload, pretty much. So it's already opened up, it just has to kind of refresh. So overall, pretty impressed here once again. Let's go into Notability. This is an app that a lot of people use for iPad. We'll open up some music. Some people like to use music or mark up music on an iPad maybe. This is kind of a niche thing or niche thing. Niche. I don't know how to say that. Probably is 2 separate ways to say it, but you know, you can highlight and like make a little note here and it works just fine. In school, I used to take this and I used to just, make notes and, write things like that so I wouldn't have to zoom in all the time. But yeah, you can definitely take notes here, make a little typed note. Let's see here, little text box. So this is a note about music. Totally fine. You can manipulate it around, you can bold it. Let's select the text here. Select all, bold, italicize, underline. Yeah, notes, Notability on here, perfect. Let's try out Siri real quick. What is the stock market price for Panasonic?
Panasonic was up 0.70% last Friday.
So there we go, real quick here. Siri works just fine. It's responsive. It gave me my answer that I wanted. Leave a comment if you think I should invest in Panasonic. I've been really thinking about it. But yeah, I mean, Siri works just fine, it seems like. Remind me in 20 minutes to turn on the AC. So, it's not the quickest. It's not going to be like instantaneous with like newer devices, but it still works just fine. Let's open up iBooks here, or Books, whatever the app's called. It's going to take a second, but here is my Gov class book. And yeah, it seems like you can do some reading. I mean, like, this is a pretty light task, but sometimes it's kind of a laggy experience with older devices, and that doesn't seem to be the case. Yeah, iBooks or Books seems to work pretty decently. I keep saying that, but I mean it. Let's go to The Namesake, the classic AP Lit book. If you were in that class, you probably read this. I didn't read it. I just did Spark Notes. Sorry, Mrs. Castine. But yeah, totally fine experience here with PDFs or books. What else can we test out here? Gmail. If I really want to go in here, I might have to blur it out. Yeah, you can definitely respond to emails on here. So let me just pretend to write one. So I haven't put a recipient, but I'm just going to just be like, Mr. Anderson, I am mad at you because you are amazing, because your real life actor is Keanu Reeves. So there you go. Typing experience just fine. Email experience, whoa. Let's open up Quizlet here. People love Quizlet. I certainly did in high school, and I will in college. I don't know. This is how I title my Quizlets. Isn't that funny? I'm so funny. Not really. Flashcards. No, thank you. So no lag here, works perfectly fine. I keep saying that, but once again, this is what I'm seeing. This is the observation I am making. Let's do finger driver. We're gonna turn the iPad for this one. Oh boy. And it's lagging a little bit, probably mostly because of the ad here, because when you don't have any ads it doesn't lag, but look at that. Okay, so to wrap things up here, I know I'm gonna have some kind of A-roll, you know, face-to-face ending of this video, but I just gotta say, wow, did not expect that. I expected things to be choppy and just annoying and unusable. I know it's really pessimistic, but this device is just getting old, but damn. iPad Air 2 still holding its own with A8X and like 2 gigs of RAM. Amazing performance with this version of iOS or iPadOS now. If you were thinking about upgrading to the iPadOS beta and you weren't sure, totally recommend it. I mean, some apps might not work, so I can't really guarantee everything there, but everything, you know, everyday tasks with the Apple apps and most of the, you know, bigger, most popular apps working just fine. And there's minimal lag and minimal stutter, so definitely recommend trying it and getting more out of your iPad Air 2. And that about wraps things up, guys. I hope this video helped you out. I am very surprised with how this device performed with iPadOS. Very surprised indeed. I know I said that like 70,000 times as I was testing it, but I truly am floored with how it put up a good fight with this new version of this operating system. And as we know with iPadOS, just the overall usability of the iPad form factor has just gotten a ton better with the new Files app, multitasking, etc. Dark mode looks super great. And if you have this device, I would not be afraid to upgrade. In fact, you're not going to really lose anything. You're only going to gain features. So I highly recommend upgrading to the public beta or updating in the fall if you're more comfortable. And yeah, that about wraps things up. Once again, I hope this video helped you out. I'd really appreciate it if you leave a like, comment if you have any questions or suggestions or opinions, and subscribe for more content like this. Once again, any interaction with my video that you have, whether it's a like, comment, and subscription, helps it gain favor with the algorithm. So that was the case with my last iPad video, so let's do that again, please. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, as always, I'm Noah, and I will catch you all in the next one.